Hey guys, welcome back to another Veritasdh video. Today we're going to continue our World of Warcraft series of saving a franchise. This is part 2. In the last part of our series, we discussed the first developer, I guess, group up of where they rekindled each other's memories and just kind of talked back and forth about developing World of Warcraft Classic way back in the day, and what made WoW special and what made it magical all the way back then in 2004. So today I thought we would continue our adventure with 3 iconic WoW developers slash artists videos in the series. So this is Aaron Keller. So we're going to start off with him, and then we'll go to Jeff Kaplan, and then Nat Pagel. As we go through these videos, I want you guys to really think how the mindset of the WoW devs and Blizzard in general changed and adapted, and what transformed WoW into what it is today, and what we can do to potentially make some positive changes to the community and possibly some positive ideas when submitting to them to the developers. So let's see what happens, guys.
I started at Blizzard in September of 2001. The first game I worked on at Blizzard was World of Warcraft.
Seems to be a lot of their
I
stories.
was on the team that designed and built dungeons and cities. The producer of the dungeon group came into our office one day, and he wanted to assign out the different dungeons and cities for the entire project. And we just wrote them all up on a whiteboard. Everybody just kind of went around and they would start picking what they wanted to do.
That's kind of cool.
And no one had picked any of the cities, and so I picked Stormwind. I'm like, I want to build Stormwind. And then
Very
it went around
iconic.
and everybody was picking different dungeons. I get to pick another city, and so I just kind of kept picking cities up there, and so I kind of became like the city guy. I remember the first day that we put Stormwind into the game, we put this little Easter egg in for the team. When you ran into it, it would play, "We built this city on rock and roll." You just hear, "We built this city on rock and roll," and pretty soon it's like the whole office, it's playing everywhere. It was so cool.
Cities were
There was something so special when
are
it
a
launched.
masterpiece.
I played in a group with my wife and one of my good friends and my cousin and one other person. This was before I had kids. This was a long time ago. Now I have kids and they love playing video games, so I can recreate that original group with my wife and my kids. And I can take other
Family
people
drama.
through this experience and kind of watch it through their eyes and have them see this amazing living world for the first time. That's what I'm excited about.
You know, I never really thought about one person really designing each of the cities, but I guess that kind of fits. It really shows you...
My name is Jeff Kaplan.
Before I watch that. It really shows you how much thought and effort went into this, and how much enthusiasm this person had. He wanted to develop the cities and bring them to life. You got to remember, the cities, might not be the first thing everyone thinks about, but we're literally spending the majority of our time. Sorry for the start. We spend the majority of our time in the cities, just like AFKing, buying stuff, talking with each other, talking in trade chat, general chat, guild recruitment chat, things like that. And honestly, we find ourselves doing laps around it. Like, the cities are just as essential, if not more essential, than any of the dungeons in the game. And Stormwind, for example, is a massive masterpiece. It was very simplistic, very easy to navigate. Obviously, I think they had a lot more plans for it in the original state, obviously with the Stockades raid and player housing, the instances that are still, to this day, not being used. But, it's really interesting to get the role-play aspect and the ideology for what they were going for. I really liked also that they, later on in Classic, they reused a lot of the buildings that weren't originally used for anything for quest NPCs.
I started at Blizzard in May of 2002, and the first game that I worked on was World of Warcraft. The very first thing that I added to the game was some of the earliest quests in Westfall. Probably my
Very iconic.
legacy is going to be the Green Hills of Stranglethorn quest.
Oh,
You had to
God.
collect 18 pages strewn about Stranglethorn. I just wrote this short story that took place of these characters. It was Hemmet Nessingwary, and I was telling his story like this famous hunter in Stranglethorn. He was based on Ernest Hemingway because I'm a huge Hemingway fan. If I just put the story in the game, nobody's ever going to want to read it. If I had all these pages and I made them tradable, then it would create this whole social dynamic for people trying to complete
very
the quest.
ingenious.
All I did was succeed in annoying everybody and putting a really crappy quest into World of Warcraft. I came
I
in
wouldn't
one
say that.
weekend and I placed creatures all in the dead mines. They were not real placement. We didn't have the tool yet to do it. So all the work I did that weekend, I took screenshots of everything, and then I made a top-down map where I put literally every creature and what its wander path should be.
Follow me.
I showed it to the design team and said, well, this is my idea for the Dead Mines. We all worked on the dungeons together after that, and I was very fortunate to be allowed to be made one of the point people on the dungeons, one of the things that I was very proud of. Playing WoW Classic today, I can't help but think of all the moments of actually working on the content. The nostalgia of playing is always mixed with the nostalgia of making the game and the great people that I was so fortunate to make the game alongside of.
It's very interesting to me. Oh, we don't want that one. We want Pagel.
My name's Patrick Nagel.
I guess we'll do Tom Chilton too. I know they removed number 5 because of another sexual harassment thing, but yeah, we'll do Tom Chilton as well. It's very interesting for Jeff Kaplan to be bringing up like the original development of Dungeons. I mean, before then, you got to think all they really had to go off of was EverQuest, a handful of other games with when it came with Dungeons. When it came down to it, I'm sure obviously they got a lot from Dungeons and Dragons and similar things like that, but the placement of mob design, I never really thought about it. It was based on what they could do at the time, and they probably tried to make it very mazy, if you know what I mean. There had to be a right way to do it, and if you didn't do it that way, you would be punished. You know, pulling, as we know, we can pull multiple packs, like take Stratholme, for example, with all the patrols going on with the undead side. So it really brings to light, like, what their ideology of, like, things like what the Dead Mines was, what their original concept was. Obviously, it was like a bandit, stonemason hideout, but it's like, when you think of mines, you think of a lot of miners, you think of, like, a massive group of people, like a massive operation they're taking part on. So very cool, very cool. Let's listen to that Pagel, Pat Nagel.
I started working at Blizzard in 1997. WoW is actually the first game that I worked on.
Yep.
When I joined the World of Warcraft team, it was as a quest designer along with Jeff Kaplan. He and I were the very first 2 quest designers on WoW. First quest I made was Kobold Camp Cleanup. Basically, you're a bunch of kobolds running around. You had to clean up their camps.
Very simplistic.
My name's Pat Nagel. There's a character in WoW with a name very similar to that. Alex Afrasiabi actually created Nat Pagel. He was making trainers, but he asked me, hey, I need to make a fishing trainer. Can I name him after you? And I'm like,
Hey,
do
guess
whatever
we
you
owe
want.
it
I don't
to
care.
him.
And then it
makes
just
sense.
kind of took off. Like from there, everyone knows who he is. He's way more famous than I am.
Truth. Feels bad.
When I was playing WoW Classic the first time, I went to our first pumpkin quest where there's lots of pumpkins and there's lots of undead, and you had to pick like 8 or 10 pumpkins and avoid the bad guys. It was the first quest of its type. Now there's probably 200 pumpkin quests. We all had to come up with these things as we were making the game, but that one was like as seminal as it gets. I think there will be kind of this timelessness. It will be this product, this game that people can like always come back to and play it as it was originally, and it's just going to be classic, and I love that.
I agree with him on that, because it really does give you an insight on what it was like back then. Obviously, you could probably never recreate the experience because, like we said in the previous video, a lot of it was based on culture. And honestly, one of the other video series I'm going to be getting into, a discussion about the metaverse, kind of pairs in with this. But anyway, not to get too off topic. But yeah, just in general, I would say that, you know, you never really think about it like collection quests, like he designed, things like that, very simplistic. But, you know, when you're in a video game of any type, you need to give your character some type of job. There needs to be like some, you know, autonomy. You need to have a purpose. And when you think about it, something as simple as picking up pumpkins, picking up any quest item in general, you know, really gives you a task to do. You know, how, you know, boring it might be, it really leads on to something more because you're bringing your character to life. You're doing tasks you normally would do. You're bringing the avatar to you, essentially. And obviously still exists in World of Warcraft right now, but on a much more grand scale. Obviously, with mounts and everything, it's a lot faster, but you know what I mean. All right, let's get to Tom Chilton.
My name is Tom Chilton, and I started at Blizzard in 2004. The first game I worked on here at Blizzard was World of Warcraft. Well, my role was a senior game designer. I was responsible for designing all the different talents for every class in the game. I would sit down and I would play the class for like a couple hours, and that would be all the time I had. And then I would spend about a week almost designing what the talents would be based on that little tiny bit of play experience.
That's very
I
interesting.
recall an email that we got from Chris Metzen. Chris was incensed about something he had seen in some promotional materials where one of the designers had put a night elf on an orange tiger mount. Chris lost it. He was like, night elves should be on dark tigers only, black tigers, purple tigers, but never, ever, ever should a night elf be found on an orange tiger. So Rob emailed us all and reminded us that night elves could only be riding on approved tiger palette mounts. My wife laughs at me when we're playing. I keep calling things my favorite, and she's like, well, you said this other zone was your favorite. And it's like, well, I have a lot of favorites, all right? Just so many different places that are so, you know, burned into my memory as having an amazing times in.
It's actually crazy when you really think about it. He was behind a lot of the designs of the abilities in the game. Like, there was him and like a tiny set of people when I first started. And just basing it off that, you can see the enthusiasm. Just think of the amount of thought it took to go into some of these abilities. Obviously, he drew inspiration from Warcraft 2, 3, and even 1 on all of this stuff for some of the classes. At the same time, I'm sure he came up with some off the top of his head, and it's just like, I wonder how this would fit in, and then they probably tried to balance and scale it. It's interesting, though, you know, the thought process that went probably behind the original Undead and the Paladin, because for those of you that didn't know this, the Paladins used to have a bonus damage to Undead base character avatars. So it was really broken and overpowered. But I assume they took it out just because it was just like, it was just unique. It was something they probably didn't want to follow through with. It was kind of funny though. But yeah, I mean, in general, you can see all the enthusiasm they hold for this game, or held, and still probably hold actually, for the game and setting it up. And I really, you know, the more I'm watching this, I'm really missing that in the current development team. Not necessarily Ian Hazacostas and a tiny handful of other people, but these brand new people in here that are just coming in, and it's just kind of like, I wonder if they really have that enthusiasm that the original dev team had. And as we're going to go through these expansions and everything, like I said, like we'll do probably 1 or 2 more on Classic, I really want you guys to keep looking into how they're adapting the game and changing it. It's really interesting. I know we're going to have the release of the cinematic trailer for the expansion, be it whatever the hell it is. When I'm reacting to that, I am going to be looking to see exactly who is going to be saying. I'm sure Ian Hazacostas and maybe the senior producers as well, but it'll be interesting because I have a feeling it's going to be something with Dragon Isles and stuff like that, but I really do think Blizzard needs to go back to the basics, not add systems, and just, like I always say, just keep it simple. Don't break something that's not broken. But yeah, we'll continue this with probably another episode following at some point in this week. We'll touch on a little bit of questing, a little bit of the dungeons and the raids, and even a little bit of PvP. Then we'll start to evolve a little faster and go into the Burning Crusade, Wrath of the Lich King, etc., etc. But once again, guys, I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me and checking in the series. Hopefully, like I said, the series someday gets some limelight or something to where they can get some ideas to build the game a little bit better, or make it great again, if you will. Golf Pablo. But anyway, just in general, thank you everyone for your love and support. Make sure to catch me live on twitch.tv/VeritasdH. And make sure to like, comment, and subscribe on all of our videos. It really helps out with the YouTube algorithm. I really appreciate all the support you guys have given me. You guys are amazing. Till then, guys, have a wonderful rest of your night, evening, day, whatever time zone it is. But yeah, until next time, guys, see ya. Happy holidays, by the way. It's almost Easter. Peace.